There is a saying as well at the moment in our industry where, or like this question, like there's no sales-led company that is starting to become product-led, or like there's very few kind of prominent players that are really at a specific size to suddenly do PLG. So a good example would be Salesforce trying to buy Slack, like, and they're struggling, and it's really awkward. It's like a grandpa at a family party that does not know how to speak with young people, right? Yeah. Exactly. That's kind of like how this feels. But the point here is that it is way harder for sales-led companies to do product-led growth than the other way around. And there's two reasons for this. The first one is that sales-led companies have grown in a sales-led structure, which means that the acquisition part of selling the product is getting a lot of voice inside of the organization, which means, we have revenue goals, we have salespeople that are they're usually also incentivized on very specific numbers, which means that if an important customer is coming, they have a voice inside to the product, right? So like they're going in there and they say like, hey, we really, really need this, right? And the organization starts to listen to this as well. So this means that you're over focusing on acquisition, which leads to a very ugly product, because you're constantly like attaching things that should not be there, probably, because it's becoming like a
Frankenstein of
exactly like a Frankenstein of custom requests.
Yeah,
and it's a very easy trap to fall into. So, but if you want to do product-led growth, you kind of have to upend also your internal organization a little bit. So we have to talk about different incentivization models for sales. The conversation has to happen on a C level, right, and not on a sales level,
right?
Because it just does not work to have product-led growth as a department of sales. It just does not work. Right. So what we commonly talk about in that regard is called product-led sales, and not to overcomplicate anything, but what we try to do in a product-led sales organization is to focus more on the behavior of people rather than the firmographics, because traditionally salespeople are interested in like how big is the company, in which country do they live. These are still important, but what we try to do with product-led sales is we try to support them and say like, hey, if we take this data now and we combine it with what the customers are doing inside of the product, we can give you the timing. So when should you reach out? When someone is using the product quite a lot, when they're starting to onboard more people. So like who should we give to sales and who not? Because just because you have someone from Microsoft using the product does not mean that it's worth it to reach out.
Of course.
And what did they do in the product? Which means when a salesperson is picking up the phone, they should already know what someone was doing inside of the product. So to avoid this weird like, hey, so who are you and what do you want from me? That's what a good product-led organization is.